Hello and welcome to this Wheel and Anchor webinar for our upcoming live-away to Cyprus, a destination that I think might just surprise you in all the best ways. I'm pleased to take you through what I believe is one of the most underrated, fascinating, and culturally rich islands in the Mediterranean. When many people think of Cyprus, they imagine beaches, sunshine, and maybe that mysterious line that divides the two sides of the country. And you wouldn't be wrong, but the island offers so much more than the first impressions suggest. It's a place where ancient temples sit just steps away from medieval castles, where east meets west, or actually more appropriately, where north meets south, and where centuries of layered history are still visible in every village, vineyard, and market square. What makes this trip so special is how we slow things down. Over the course of 2 weeks, we'll stay in just two home bases, Larnaca and Paphos, and we'll explore the island from these spots in depth, with plenty of time for local connections, culinary discoveries, and meaningful cultural encounters. We'll trace ancient myths, taste the traditions, and even cross the island's dividing line to understand the stories from both sides. Now, for those of you who regularly join our webinars, feel free to skip ahead to the map and the day by day itinerary. Just below this video, you'll find the chapter markers, which make navigating to those parts of the video a little bit easier. If you're new to Wheel and Anchor, however, I'd love for you to stay with me for a couple of minutes while I share a little bit more about who we are and why this kind of travel might be exactly what you've been looking for. So, before I get started talking more about Cyprus, we are not just another travel company, and this is not just your average presentation. You're stepping into a genuine community of passionate Canadian explorers. At Wheel and Anchor, this is exactly what we've built together. What truly unites us is our shared curiosity about the world and our desire for experiences that go beyond those typical tourist pamphlets. Now, let's be honest, those famous landmarks, they're famous for good reason, and we absolutely include those must-see sites in all of our trips. But where our community truly thrives is in those magical moments between the landmarks and discovering that hidden cafe in Sicily or that stunning viewpoint in Kyoto that most visitors never find. Because we believe that the joy of personal discovery is in building in that precious free time for you to explore exactly what calls to you. What I've discovered in my 34 years in organizing travel is that what transforms a good trip into an unforgettable experience is the people that you share it with. There's something special about traveling with fellow Canadians who get your references, share your perspectives, and quickly become friends rather than just travel companions. If that resonates with you, if you value those evening conversations over a little glass of wine, those shared moments of wonder, and the freedom to both connect and explore independently, then I think you've found your travel home here at Wheel and Anchor. Now, as I was just alluding to, here at Wheel and Anchor, we're not just about collecting stamps and passports. We're about gathering moments that have a lasting impression on the heart. And while that may sound a little sentimental, let me explain how our twin goals of being well traveled and well connected come together, just like a perfectly curated itinerary. When we say well traveled, we're talking about cultivating what I like to call explorer's eyes, that ability to find meaning and beauty, whether you're gazing at an ancient mosaic in Paphos or sipping strong Cypriot coffee in a village square. It's about letting the pace of local life, the stories of the people, and the unexpected moments reshape how you see the world. Take Cyprus, for example. It's easy to be charmed by the sunshine and the scenery, but really what sticks with you is hearing a shopkeeper in Lefkara tell you about her grandmother's lace making patterns, or walking through Varosha and suddenly feeling the weight of what was left behind. These are the experiences that challenge our assumptions, bring history into the present, and make us into more mindful travelers. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don't we all want those picture postcard moments, those Instagram moments? Absolutely. We get those too. But the real magic of this trip and of all of our trips comes in the quiet, unscripted moments, like sharing a plate of warm halloumi made just hours before, or watching the sun dip behind Paphos Castle while somebody plays bouzouki in the distance. Which brings us to this notion of being well connected. On one of our recent trips, the host told me that the group had discovered that they had three retired teachers, two amateur photographers, and someone who'd worked with the Canadian First Nations communities. And by the end of the trip, they'd created a shared photo album and planned a reunion back home in Canada. Here's what most tour companies miss: connection isn't just about who you travel with, it's about who you become through travel. And our goal is not just to guide you around, but to give you the opportunity to go into a family kitchen, to uncover the craft of pottery making as it's been done for generations, or to debate sports rivalries with locals who'll remind you of their fascination with your hockey loving neighbors. That this dual focus creates what our members call the wheel and anchor effect, returning home not just with souvenirs, but with new lenses to see your own community and new friends to see it through. I just want to share a couple more things about who we are before we delve into the details of this trip. In particular, I want to talk about who are the people of Wheel and Anchor beyond our members, of course. And so, first of all, my name is Gordon Drager. I'm the founder of the company. I've been working in and around the travel business for about 35 years, and I've organized trips for Canadians to just about all parts of the globe. I couldn't pull off all these lofty promises I've talked about without an incredible team of people, all of whom are just as dedicated as I am to ensuring that we deliver some of the best experiences for our members. The person who's most important for you, though, is our lead trip specialist, Paula Zarnick. You can see a picture of her here. She's the person, when you drop us an email, when you pick up the phone and call us, who will most likely be frontline to make sure that you get your questions answered and to make sure that deciding on this or any of our trips is the right choice for you. So let's move on and talk a little bit about Cyprus. Our plan today is pretty straightforward. I'm going to be your virtual guide as I take you on a little journey around Cyprus and share what you can expect from this incredible live away style trip. We'll start with a geographical overview, a look at the map, and then I'll walk you through the highlights of each day of this trip. Now, if you're not sure what a live away is, this style of trip transforms travel from being just sightseeing to more like life experiencing. On our live-aways, we settle into a destination for 2 to 3 weeks, in this case 2, and we balance guided highlights with personal exploration. You've got time to immerse yourself in the local culture, discover hidden gems, and forge meaningful connections, all at your own relaxed pace. We'll spend 14 nights here in Cyprus, and it's a Mediterranean island where history really runs deep, the traditions are alive and well, and the landscapes shift from sun-washed coastlines to cool mountain villages. If you take a look at the inset map, you can see that Cyprus is located in the eastern part of the Mediterranean, just south of Turkey's coastline. Being an hour's flight away from the shores of Lebanon, Syria, and Israel, we're far removed from the challenges in that part of the world, which is why thousands of sun seekers from Europe continue to flock here unabated, particularly during the summer months. We'll begin on the southeast coast in the seaside city of Larnaca. With its palm-lined promenade and laid-back rhythm, Larnaca is a perfect entry point to Cyprus. We'll base ourselves here for the first week, and we'll use it as a hub to explore both urban life as well as rural traditions, from food markets to local tavernas, wine tastings, and monastery visits. It's also the best place from which to venture into North Cyprus to gain an insight into why this island has been divided for decades. From Larnaca, we'll then venture inland and across the island, making stops at historic sites like Colossi Castle and the ancient city of Kourion before arriving in Paphos on the western coast, which will be our second home for the remainder of the trip. Paphos is a city that effortlessly blends myth and archaeology. It's said to be the birthplace of Aphrodite, and today it's home to UNESCO-listed mosaics, medieval fortresses, and a charming harbor where the sunsets are nothing short of spectacular. From here, we'll explore the Troodos Mountains, we'll uncover ancient tombs and Roman villas, and see the stunningly beautiful seas around the Blue Lagoon. So let me now dive into the day-by-day details of our itinerary in Cyprus. As I mentioned, our live-away here will begin in Larnaca, which is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Depending on your airline and choice of routing, you'll either land at Larnaca or Paphos airports. Now, Larnaca has more frequent connections from the major hubs in Central Europe, but either way, no matter where you land, a friendly face will be waiting to greet you and bring you straight to our hotel in central Larnaca. Once you're checked in, the choice is yours. You can take a stroll around the palm-lined streets or maybe stop in at a cafe to get your first taste of Cypriot coffee to hold off the jet lag, or simply relax and settle into island time. Our hotel's central location makes it easy to start exploring or just unwind after your journey. And on our first evening, as always, we'll gather on the rooftop for a little welcome cocktail reception, a chance for you to meet your fellow members and also taste for the first time a bit of Cypriot meze, which are finger foods. You'll quickly discover that food here isn't just a meal, it's a celebration of hospitality and heritage. During our first week in Cyprus, we'll be staying at the Live Urban Suites, which is an adults only boutique property nestled right in the heart of Larnaca. It's got only 26 stylish apartments, and this sophisticated haven is a perfect blend of privacy and personalized service that we value at Wheel and Anchor. What makes the location truly special is that it's close proximity to everything. You can step outside and you're just moments away from the palm-lined Finicudis Promenade, the golden beaches, the charming cafes where we'll enjoy breakfast, as well as the historic Old Town with its winding alleyways and traditional tavernas. It's the ideal base for both our guided explorations and your own personal discoveries. One of the highlights of the Live is its spectacular rooftop terrace with a refreshing pool, a perfect retreat after our cultural explorations. Picture yourself lounging with a good book, perhaps with a glass of local wine in hand, gazing out across Larnaca's rooftops towards the azure Mediterranean beyond. The pool is open all throughout the day, offering a tranquil oasis above the buzz of the city. And on evenings where there isn't some activity planned, the space transforms into the perfect spot to watch the sun dip below the horizon, where you can reflect on the day's adventures. Each suite feels like your own private apartment in Cyprus rather than a typical hotel room. All of our suites feature private balconies where you can enjoy morning coffee or evening drinks with views of the surrounding cityscape. Inside, you'll find fully equipped kitchens and inviting living areas that blend hotel like amenities with the comforts of home. The contemporary decor incorporates subtle Mediterranean influences, creating spaces that are both elegant and relaxed, which are perfectly aligned with our philosophy of living in a destination rather than simply passing through. After a relaxing first night and a hearty breakfast, we'll gather for a casual orientation to get you settled into the rhythm of the trip. First off, our host will walk you through what to expect over the coming days of the trip and how to make the most of your time in Cyprus, including a few tips on how to travel like a local. And then we'll be off on foot to explore Larnaca. But this isn't a typical walking tour. Our experience will be a culinary stroll through the city's hidden food scene, guided by a local expert who knows every tucked away little taverna and mom and pop bakery. We'll stop at 5 hand-picked spots, sampling everything from flaky pastries and savory bites to traditional home-style dishes, and of course, something sweet to finish it all off. Maybe a taste of loukoumia, Cyprus's version of Turkish delight. Along the way, you'll get a feel for the city's layout and discover where the locals really eat, and even get the inside scoop on the best places to grab a proper cup of Cypriot coffee, prepared in a mribriki, which is a hot sand tray, an old world method that is still very much loved today. The afternoon and evening will be free for you to continue exploring the city, revisiting one of the spots that we will have discovered in the morning, or simply relaxing and soaking in the local atmosphere. Cyprus has a way of inviting you to slow down, and today is a perfect day to do just that. On our first adventure outside of Larnaca, we'll leave the coast behind and head inland to discover the soul of Cyprus. This will be a full day adventure, and it'll take us very much into the heart of the countryside, where life moves at an even slower pace and the traditions are very much alive. We'll be led again by our local food and wine host, and we'll visit a handful of workshops, each one showcasing a different piece of Cyprus's rich culinary heritage. You might find yourself watching honey drip from a fresh honeycomb, or learning how village bread is baked in wood-fired ovens, or maybe even seeing how olive oil is still pressed the old-fashioned way. The day's stops will vary depending on who's available, but that's part of the magic. These aren't performances. This is real life happening in real time. One of our key stops will be the village of Lefkara, which is famous around the world for its delicate handmade lace known as Lefkaritika. Legend has it that even Leonardo da Vinci purchased lace here back in the 15th century. The village is also known for its silversmithing, and you'll have free time to wander its narrow stone streets and pop into some of the artisan shops or just enjoy the view with your camera in hand. We'll gather for lunch at a cozy local tavern where we'll sit down to a traditional Cypriot meze, one of probably more than a few that we'll have on this trip, a spread of small plates that just keeps on coming. From dips and cheeses to grilled meats and garden fresh vegetables, this is the kind of lunch that turns into an experience. And yes, the wine will be flowing, likely from a local producer nearby. But after this generous helping of food, scenery, and cultural, we'll return back to Larnaca for a relaxed evening. Whether you choose to rest up or head out for another bite to eat, I'm not sure you'll have room after a big Cypriot meze, but you'll certainly have had a taste of true, authentic Cypriot life. After the first couple of days of wandering around town and exploring some of the local villages, our first free day is all about settling in at your own pace and embracing the easy rhythm of life by the sea. You got various options to choose from, but you might choose to spend a few hours down at Finicudis Beach, where the palm trees sway and the waters are calm and inviting. You might even take a stroll along the lively Finicudis Promenade, ducking into a seaside cafe for a cup of coffee or maybe something a little stronger. If you're up for a bit of exploring, though, you could head inland to the Salt Lake, which, depending on the season, might be shimmering under the sun or dotted with flamingos during their migration period. Nearby is Halas Sultan Teke, which is a serene mosque surrounded by palm trees and one of the most revered Muslim pilgrimage sites outside of Mecca. Then, once the sun begins to dip, we'll regroup and take a short walk to a local little wine bar where we'll sit down for an evening of Cypriot wine tasting, paired with a cheese platter featuring some of the island's best varieties, from the soft anari to aged halloumi and tangy local goat cheeses. It's a relaxed social evening, an ideal moment to chat with your fellow travelers, share some stories, and raise a glass to the simple pleasures of Cyprus. Today's excursion will take us to Nicosia, a city like no other, being the last divided capital of Europe. We'll head basically due north from Larnaca towards this fascinating city where the heart of the island's complex identity is on full display. Now, Nicosia has been continuously inhabited for over 4,500 years, but it wasn't till 1974 that it became physically divided, with the Green Line, which separates the southern Greek Cypriot side from the northern Turkish Cypriot side. We'll cross that very line today with our passports in hand and step into the northern half of the city where time kind of seems to bend. The highlights will include the Arabamet Mosque as well as the Buyuk Khan, which is a stunning 16th century Ottoman inn that now houses artisan shops and cafes. We'll also visit St. Sophia Cathedral, now a mosque as well, where Gothic arches and Islamic calligraphy coexist under one roof. It's really an architectural reflection of Cyprus's layered history. We'll then take a wander through the Bandabulia market, which is a lively local hub that brings together spices, produce, textiles, and friendly chatter. We'll then cross back over the line to the south, where we'll have lunch and spend the afternoon at the Nicosia Municipal Museum, which offers a deeper understanding of the city's evolution. We'll also take a visit to the Byzantine Museum, which is now a remarkable collection of icons rescued from abandoned churches all over the island. There'll be a lot of walking today, mostly on level ground, but this is going to be one of those days where you want some good shoes and a spirit of curiosity to keep you going. It'll be a day to listen, observe, and reflect on a city divided but not broken, which is rich in stories, resilience, and beauty. Our program for the day will be all about choice, and this is a perfect chance to either follow your own rhythm or perhaps take a deeper dive into the wine culture of Cyprus. Our full day trip today, which is completely optional, will take us up into the Troodos Mountains, where vineyards have thrived for over 5,000 years. Our adventure will start with visits to a couple of the award-winning wineries on the island, each offering a generous tasting of 18 different wines, obviously small portions of each, including the legendary Commandaria, which is a rich amber-hued dessert wine, often called the oldest named wine still in production. It dates actually back to the Crusades and was once so prized that Richard the Lionhearted declared it the wine of kings and the king of wines. We'll learn all about indigenous grape varieties like Sinisteri and Marateftico, and how traditional winemaking practices blend with modern practices to produce some truly memorable bottles. And yes, we'll have a chance to bring a few bottles back with us to either sample in our lovely suites or back home, and you'll find the prices quite attractive compared to back in Canada. We'll also stop at the postcard worthy village of Omados, which is known for its cobblestone lanes, more lacework, and warm village hospitality. It's the kind of place where time slows down, and so should we, for that matter. We'll have a relaxed Cypriot meze lunch. Pretty much all the lunches in Cypriot are meze style, and it'll be in a family-run taverna with some local wines to pair perfectly with the meal. The evening will be at leisure. At that point, you probably want to lie down for the rest of the time. But there's obviously lots of opportunity to go out and explore the beautiful night sky over the sea. Another chance to either explore a bit of Larnaca and Cyprus at your own pace, but if you're in a mood for a journey that peels back the layers of Cyprus's past in the most dramatic way, you might want to join us for this very memorable excursion, Finding Famagusta. So once again, this is a trip that's going to take us back up into the northern part of Cyprus. So we'll have our passports in hand and we'll cross the Green Line and we'll begin our day at the ancient city of Salamis, which was once a bustling port and cultural center back in the Roman times. It's a place of myth and empire. It's a favorite of emperors like Trajan and Hadrian, and is believed to be the very place where Paul and Barnabas began their Christian mission in the first century after Christ. You'll walk along around crumbling colonnades, vivid mosaic floors, and remnants of bathhouses, imagining daily rhythms of life in a city that thrived almost 2,000 years ago. From there, we'll continue over to the walled city of Famagusta, a place where Venetian fortifications, Gothic cathedrals, and Ottoman mosques sit shoulder to shoulder. The standout of it all is the Cathedral of St. Nicholas, which is now a mosque again. Its soaring arches and weathered stone tell a powerful story of faith and transformation. And after lunch, we arrive at one of the most surreal and unforgettable places on the island, Varosha, the fabled ghost town. It used to be a glamorous seaside resort which was loved by stars like Brigitte Bardot and Liz Taylor. But Varosha was abandoned in 1974 after the Turkish invasion, and it was left untouched for nearly 50 years. Only recently it was reopened to visitors, and it remains eerily frozen in time with empty hotels, rusted out cars, and nature slowly reclaiming the streets. If we still have time and energy, we'll make a quick stop at the Monastery of St. Barnabas, where a small museum has some beautiful icons and archaeological finds that reflect the island's deep spiritual heritage. This is not just an excursion. It's actually an emotional and thought-provoking experience where the past feels close enough to touch. We'll be back in time for dinner. There'll be plenty to reflect on. Today, we'll bid farewell to Larnaca, but our journey across the island will be far more than just a transfer. It's a full day of discovery and scenic storytelling as we make our way to Paphos on the sun-drenched western coast. Our first stop will be at Limassol, which is a vibrant coastal city. In fact, it's the biggest city on Cyprus. And here, modern life hums alongside ancient roots. We'll take a bit of a guided walk through the historic center where colorful shutters, boutique shops, and the echoes of Byzantine, Ottoman, and British influence all live side by side. We'll have lunch here at a local restaurant and soak in this cosmopolitan charm. But then we'll head over to Colossi Castle, which is a compact but mighty medieval fortress with a powerful legacy. This was once a stronghold of the Order of St. John, and it later on became a base for the Knights Templar during the Crusades. Believe it or not, it also played a leading role in Cyprus's sugar industry during the Middle Ages. Back then, sugar was a sweet commodity before it was even common in the rest of Europe, and Cyprus was a key player in the early part of that trade. Richard the Lionheart, again, another name from a couple days back, even passed through these parts on his way to marry Berengaria of Navarre in Limassol back in 1191, which made Cyprus the only place outside of England where an English royal wedding took place. Our final stop before we get to Paphos is going to be at Kourion, an archaeological park which is perched dramatically on a cliff overlooking the sea. It used to be a thriving Greco-Roman city-state, and it's filled with beautifully preserved mosaics, temples, and bathhouses. There's also a stunning amphitheater that's still used today for performances, and as you walk around among the ruins, you'll feel the weight of centuries beneath your feet and the breeze of the Mediterranean at your back. We'll be in Paphos by around mid afternoon, and we'll check into our new home base later on, meeting up in the lobby once again for a quick orientation of the neighborhood around the hotel, along with a little gathering for drinks and canapes at our hotel bar, which would be a lovely way to toast our arrival in the second half of our live away in Cyprus. While in Paphos, we're going to be staying in the vibrant core of what's called Kato Paphos, and our hotel blends boutique sophistication with warm, family run hospitality. It's only 300 meters away from a blue flag beach, and it's steps from the UNESCO listed archaeological sites like the Paphos mosaics and medieval castle, all of which we'll visit. The property positions us at the crossroads of Cyprus's rich history and modern energy, and the minimalist design, along with the calming earth tones and curated artwork, creates a serene counterpoint to the bustling historic district outside. In the spring, the breeze still carries a bit of a crispness to it, and so we'll find warmth in the indoor heated pool and Aphrodite spa, which is featured by our hotel, the Anemi. The glass enclosed wellness complex becomes our private haven where we can unwind with olive oil infused massages with local botanicals, or we can float underneath skylights filtering in the Mediterranean light. There's a fitness studio there, which has great quality Peloton style bikes and yoga mats for sunrise stretches. And the thermal suites, aromatic steam rooms are a perfect way to spend after a day of exploring ancient ruins. They even offer wellness rituals for couples in their twin treatment rooms. Our accommodations here range from studios to split level executive suites, all of which have private rooftop terraces. But all of our suites have a kitchenette with Cypriot dishware, a balcony which overlooks either citrus groves or the courtyard pool, and spa inspired bathrooms with olive oil toiletries. You might opt for some of the premium suites, which feature woven headboards and hand painted tile work in a nod to traditional craftsmanship. As this will be our first full day in Paphos and will be close to some of the most beautiful beaches on the island, it'll be a bit of a choose your own adventure kind of day. You can either relax and enjoy the seafront promenade or perhaps join us for a delightfully hands on journey into one of Cyprus's most beloved culinary traditions. We're going to head up into the Troodos foothills for a full day optional excursion, which we like to call halloumi heaven. And once you've tasted halloumi fresh, you'll understand why. Cyprus is actually the birthplace of halloumi, which is a semi firm cheese made from a mix of sheep and goat milk. And it's prized for its salty flavor and the fact that it holds its shape when either grilled or pan fried. It's been a staple here for centuries. And today we'll learn how to make it the traditional way, side by side with local cheesemakers. We'll dive right into the full process from milk to mold to brine, and you'll help shape your own cheese rounds before sitting down to brunch on the finished product, which will still be warm and squeaky right out of the vat. You'll also try inari, which is halloumi's mild, creamy cousin, often served with honey or fruit. But the tasting doesn't just stop there. We'll continue on to a few other places, which may include a honey farm, a donkey milk skincare workshop. I know that sounds odd, but actually I still have some of my donkey milk products. Maybe we'll stop at an olive mill or a sweets producer. It all depends on what's in season and who's at home. Every stop is locally run and it's deeply rooted in tradition. And so we'll spend time, first of all, in a quaint village, and we'll have the chance to browse some artisan shops, chat with locals, or simply enjoy the rhythm of village life. For foodies, culture lovers, and anyone curious about Cyprus beyond the beach, this is one of the most charming and personal days on the itinerary. We'll head back to Paphos in the late afternoon, leaving our evening free to relax, and maybe we'll pair dinner with the halloumi souvenirs that we couldn't resist bringing back. Another free day in our optional excursion will unfold at a bit of a gentler pace as we head up to the north coast and take a cruise in search of the Blue Lagoon. Our first destination is going to be Lachi Harbor, which is a charming little fishing village where wooden boats bob next to seaside tavernas. From here, we'll board our vessel and begin a 2.5 hour cruise along the Akamas Peninsula, which is one of the most untouched and ecologically rich regions in the whole island. This part of Cyprus is protected under the Natura 2000 conservation program, and its rugged cliffs, turquoise coves, and limestone outcroppings make it a haven for wildlife and a dream for photographers, both professional and amateur. As we sail along, we'll pass St. George's Island, which is a key nesting site for seabirds. We'll pass also the sea caves at Monolis Bay and Fontana Amorosa, or the Fountain of Love, a place steeped in legend and said to have been favored by Aphrodite herself. We're not going to stop at the baths of Aphrodite, although they're charming in name. Having been there myself, they're a lot less impressive in person. There'll be plenty of other natural wonders to admire. Our main destination is going to be the iconic Blue Lagoon, which is a tranquil, sheltered bay known for its crystal clear, shallow waters. Assuming the conditions are right and you're feeling brave, you can take a dip. March water temperatures are on the chilly side. It's usually around 17 degrees Celsius. It'll make for a brisk but a very memorable swim. Back on board, we'll toast the moment with some local wine and fresh seasonal fruit served, and then we'll cruise back towards shore, both sun-kissed and refreshed. This is one of our most popular optional excursions because it's relaxing, it's a scenic escape, and it shows off the amazing coastal beauty of the island. We'll be back at the hotel later in the afternoon with lots of time to unwind. Today is a day for us to gather all together for a journey into the heart of the Troodos Mountains, where we'll find stone-built villages, Byzantine chapels, and forested valleys, which creates one of the most atmospheric landscape in all of Cyprus. We'll head up some windy roads into the hills where the air cools down and the scenery shifts. We'll first stop at a traditional mountain coffee shop, the kind of place where the coffee's strong and the cups are small, but the welcome is always warm. And it's a perfect way to ease into the day's discoveries. From there, we'll arrive in Kalopaniotis, which is a storybook village tucked into a lush green valley. It's got grapevine-covered balconies, cobbled lanes, and clay ovens that are still in use. It feels like it's been lifted out of another time. The village is famous for its healing sulfur springs and its commitment to preserving Cypriot traditions both in architecture as well as in the way of life. We'll explore the village and visit the Casale Paniotis, which is a beautifully restored mountain retreat that has helped revive the area, and it now stands as a model for sustainable rural tourism. There'll be time for us to browse through the artisan shops, take photos, or just enjoy the serenity of the surroundings. From there, we'll visit the monastery of Ios Ioannis Lampadistis. Excuse my pronunciation. It is UNESCO World Heritage Site where there's 3 chapels that have been built across the centuries, and they stand side by side, all under a timber roof. Inside, we'll find some pretty vibrant frescoes that date back to between the 11th and 15th centuries, and they're amazingly well preserved. It really offers quite a glimpse into the island's religious and artistic legacy. After we have a party lunch, we'll end our day at Kikos Monastery, which is perched high up on a wooded slope. It's one of the most revered religious sites on the whole island of Cyprus, and it's famed for its ornate golden icons and its rich interior. According to tradition, one of the icons here was painted by the Apostle Luke himself, which makes it only one of 3 icons that are known to exist anywhere. We'll be back in Paphos by the late afternoon, and we'll probably have to empty our memory cards on our cameras, and we'll have the evening free at leisure. History buff or not, today's optional excursion will capture your imagination, and so in that regard, it's really not to be missed. We'll start off at the Paphos Archaeological Park, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site nestled right by the harbor. So we can walk there from our hotel, and we'll stroll around the remains of some grand Roman villas where the mosaic floors, some of which date all the way back to the 2nd century, they're remarkably intact. And the intricate tiles tell vivid stories out of Greek mythology, from Dionysus' revelry to the trials of Hercules, all in color and detail that defy time. And our guide does an amazing job of interpreting the stories in these mosaics. We'll then head over to visit the Odeon Amphitheater, which is a beautifully preserved semicircular structure still used for performances. And what I like in Cyprus is that they manage to leverage all of these ancient sites to put on some amazing shows. We'll then stop over at the Tombs of the Kings, which is a sprawling necropolis carved out of the solid rock, and it's where noble families were laid to rest in chambers that echo with history. One more stop, we'll head over a little further inland to Kuklia, which is the site of Paphos, which is one of the most important city kingdoms in ancient Cyprus, and it's the original sanctuary that was dedicated to Aphrodite. We'll explore the Lusignan Manor, which is now a museum, and it houses the famous Leda and Swan mosaics. These trace the evolution of Aphrodite's cult from fertility goddess to a Roman deity. For one grand finale, we'll stop at Petratoromio, which is also known as Aphrodite's Rock down on the coast. According to legend, this is where the goddess was born out of the sea foam. The spot itself is breathtaking. The waves crash up on the iconic sea stack, and the myths are simply swirling around in the salty air. We'll have fresh meze lunch during the day at a beautiful seaside restaurant overlooking the rock, and then it'll be back to the hotel with lots of time to enjoy the rest of the afternoon and evening. We purposely left 2 free days at the end of our trip, and this one capped off by our always memorable farewell dinner. There's plenty of things to do in and around Paphos, and for that matter, on the whole western side of Cyprus. And I always encourage our members to do a little bit of their own research and find out the kind of things that might appeal to them. Uh, you might explore, for example, the Agios Neophytos Monastery, which is just a short drive outside of town. It's carved into a cliffside, and you'll find some incredible 12th century frescoes. It was a monastic retreat, and it is a great place to reflect quietly and have some sweeping views over the countryside. You might want to venture a little further inland to Tsielefos Bridge, which is a beautiful stone arch tucked deep inside a forest. It's a lovely place for a nature walk and for a few beautiful photos. But of course, if you want to enjoy the seaside, you might want to head up to Lara Bay, which is a bit of the wilder side of Cyprus. It's a conservation beach for sea turtles. It's further away from the crowds, and it's framed by untouched coastline. So wherever you go, there's lots of options for you to do. That evening, as I said, we'll have our farewell dinner, and we'll do it the way that Cypriots love to do it, with food, lots of wine, and celebration. In fact, our farewell dinner is going to be a souvla, which is the undisputed star of Cypriot get-togethers. It's not really the same as souvlaki. Souvla offers large marinated cuts of meat, which are slowly grilled over open coals, turned by hand or by spit until tender and deeply smoked. It's a tradition rooted in family, hospitality, and celebration. It'll be a meze style dinner, and it'll be served out on a rustic patio where we share all the dishes. There's lots of laughter and fun, and the local boutique wines are poured freely. The wine has been carefully selected from our small scale producers who honor the land, the tradition, and the taste of Cyprus. This is a wonderful way to wrap up our trip. It's more than just a farewell, it's a culinary embrace, and it's a great time to celebrate our time in Cyprus. There's one more full day in Cyprus. We always celebrate our farewell dinner a night before the very last night, in case anyone has an early morning flight. We want to make sure everybody can thoroughly enjoy the festivities. Taking into account where you headed to the following day, how long of a flight you'll have will determine what it is that you might undertake, because it might be nice to just hang out by the beach for the day. But you could also go and visit the Ethnographic Museum, another hidden gem which is tucked inside a 19th century house, and it's got all kinds of quirky artifacts and local folklore. It's a great look inside the island's rural past and the people that shaped it. Of course, as I said, you might just want to head to the beach, and Alikas Beach is a perfect spot to go. It's got calm waters, gentle waves, and lots of little beach cafes nearby. You can take a little quiet stroll or just pull up a sun lounger and soak in the sun for your last full day in Cyprus. If you are drawn to the nature, and Cyprus certainly has some incredible natural spots, as we will have seen, you might head to Avakas Gorge, which is a narrow limestone canyon carved through thousands of years of water and wind. It's got towering rock walls, lush plant life, and occasionally you can sight the mouflon, which are Cyprus's native wild sheep. It's a great spot for hikers and photographers alike. No matter what, the grand finale to our trip is something you won't want to miss. You'll see the medieval castle glowing in the golden light as the sun goes down, the fishing bobs bobbing in the water. It's the kind of scene that feels right out of a painting. It's a perfect way to bookmark your time there. There'll be one last breakfast at the hotel, of course, depending on your time of departure, and we'll bring you to whichever airport it is that you're going to be flying out from, either Paphos, just outside of town, or Larnaca, which is about an hour and a half drive away. Either way, you're going to be leaving with more than just souvenirs, but maybe a few bottles of Commanderia wine will have found their way into your suitcase, or some of that delicious locally pressed olive oil, or maybe even a few pieces of halloumi, keeping in mind what you're allowed to bring back. But most importantly, you'll have a collection of moments and memories: the sound of the sea at the Blue Lagoon, the warmth of that little village taverna, and the laughter shared over meze. There'll be more than a few laughs. Cyprus has a way of drawing people in with its beauty, and it's surprising them with its depth, its history, and its heartfelt hospitality. If this journey has left you feeling more than connected to the world, to others, and even to yourself, then it will have been a journey worth taking. If what I've shared today about our live away in Cyprus is appealing, then I'm sure you'd like to get some more information, and we have lots available. The best way to get all the information about this trip is to visit our website. You'll find a link in the description below this video on YouTube that'll take you directly to the webpage for our upcoming live-aways in Cyprus. And then in that webpage, you'll find an overview, but more importantly, a link to our detailed trip itinerary, which is a full color digital brochure that gives you all the details of the trip, the prices, the terms and conditions, everything that you need to know. On top of that, there is a trip specific reference guide that gives logistical details and answers to some common questions about the weather and climate and packing suggestions and so on. Our goal is to give all the information that you need in just 1 or 2 clicks. But of course, there may still be a few lingering questions, and we're more than happy to help. The best way to get in touch with one of our trip specialists is, as I said, your first stop is Paula, and you can drop her an email and set up a call with her. She'll be delighted to assist with any questions you have and to help you decide if this is the trip that's for you. Thanks for joining me on this little virtual journey through Cyprus. I hope it's given you a bit of a glimpse of what you can expect from this surprisingly interesting little island in the Eastern Mediterranean. Our trips are all designed to give you more than just a typical tour. They're really about experiencing a destination as if you were a temporary local, particularly the live away style. We have carefully selected excursions, lots of free time, and you'll have a chance to explore at your own pace while also discovering the culture, the cuisine, and the history of each destination. If you enjoy following our webinars, then you can consider subscribing to this YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button, which is just below as well. That way, every time we post a new webinar about a new trip, you will be alerted and you don't have to look too far. So in the meantime, I hope to meet you sometime, and take care and happy travels.